Hey, welcome back to the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge, and today we have the mysterious Benedict Society. This is a series started in 2021, and it's a 20th Century Fox production, so it's owned by Disney. Whether it was started before or after the acquisition, I don't know, but it's under that banner. That said, so far there's two seasons of 8 episodes each. Each of the episodes are around 50 minutes or so. It allows that flexibility mainly because it's on streaming. I don't know if it's aired anywhere else, but usually when you have commercials and things like that, it tends to whittle the time down to make room for more commercials, and it's usually around 44 minutes or so, or less in many cases. But the great thing about this is it's kind of a weird family adventure comedy series. It's quirky. People are going to use the word quirky. I'm sure many have already. Mainly because if you know who some of the adults are, that are kind of running this show, that are on the screen, the adults that are running on the screen. It feels like it's the kind of thing that's been adapted from a book, which I imagine yeah, I imagine it probably has. There's probably a series of books out there. I have not read. They're made for children more than likely because that's kind of who the main protagonists are. I do not want to spoil anything for you on this. I went in knowing as little as possible, except for some of the actors I recognized right off. Just seeing this, just seeing any images, you kind of knew who the adults were in this. Speaking of which, the main one is Tony Hale. He provides the narration, and he also like the voiceover for a lot of stuff. But he is also sort of the mysterious man behind the curtain so far that I can tell. Tony Hale, you might recognize him from Arrested Development and Veep and seriously every other thing. He's been in so many things over the years, and he's just chaotic good. He is just usually just he seems to be a good guy who is easily flustered or at least just a little off kilter, and you realize it's still a good thing. And Kristen Shaw, you've seen and heard her voice many times. If you just saw Gravity Falls, she's Mabel. If you've seen Bob's Burgers, she's Louise. You've seen her on The Last Man on Earth, on What We Do in the Shadows. She's everywhere. She's a comedian, and she's an actress who does a lot of voice work. And yeah, her voice is unmistakable. So she appears in this as well. And Ryan Hurst, some of you may not recognize as much because in the last few years, one of his most prominent roles was behind a gory mask on The Walking Dead as Beta, and also previously to that, when I originally got to know the character, the actor, he was on The Sons of Anarchy. And I've already forgot the character's name, but once you see him, you'll recognize him. So those are the three main adult actors. But the thing is, this is all wraps around primarily one main protagonist, Rainey Muldoon, played by Mystic Inshow. Mystic. His first name is Mystic. Yeah. Well, it seems pretty fits pretty well with this. He is one of it's kind of giving it away. 4 kids who are tested and selected to go to a prestigious school and basically get out of the lives they're currently in. Rainey, he's an orphan, and he's very much alone. He has a very good teacher that he connects with very well, and she's the one who gets him a chance to take the tests that would possibly get him into this prestigious school. Who is that? She is played by Gia Sandhu. Sandhu? Miss Miss Perimal. Anyway, and I could throw a couple other names at you and characters at you, but I do not want to accidentally reveal certain things because this is a mystery. It is the mysterious Benedict Society, and there are little mysteries to be revealed throughout just this first episode. And even as the first episode ends, it ends on a pretty major cliffhanger. It makes you go, okay, what's going on here? You still don't know fully what's going on, and that's okay. This is one of those rare instances where you're like, oh, you know what? I want more, and I do, and I do. I really want more, and I really don't. I rarely do this. I'm adding this to my watch list. Good grief! I'm going to probably start. I'm going to probably spend the first month this year going through every single one of these episodes whenever I get a chance, because January seems to be fairly empty with new programming elsewhere. You know, stuff usually doesn't come back until closer to late January, February ish. So yeah, I'm going to spend my time catching up on this. I highly recommend it if you like just good, strange, quirky. I know the word quirky just might be overused when it comes to this, but it's fun. It knows it's weird, and it's for the people who enjoy weird. So, and if you're expecting maybe something supernatural-ish, like Miss Peregrine's School for Children and the X-Men or something else that's going on with these kids. These kids are definitely gifted, but I don't think they qualify for Xavier's School. Let's just say that they are unique individuals, and they have quality that helps them, qualities I should say, that helps them rise above many others in these cases. Now, however, nothing is ever as it seems. But the great thing is that this also seems to be set in the 1960s, maybe early to mid 1960s. By looking at the technology and the furniture and the sets and things like that, it feels like it's the 1960s. But this, I don't know. It's a kind of thing like watching. I don't know if you watched Legion on FX. You never really fully knew what era it was taking place in. There's technology, and there's mutants. It's an X-Men related show, but it had this very retro feel to it, and this has a very retro feel to it. Maybe it is absolutely the 60s. I don't know. Maybe it's not part of the trick. I have no idea. But these characters, one of the most interesting facets of this show is the fact that it doesn't specify the great danger, like the point of all of this. There is a kind of, I don't know, blurry, I don't want to say, it's kind of a non-specific threat that everyone feels and everyone's aware of. Is it war? Do they feel anxiety about war? Is there some sort of... I don't want to say, again, I have to be careful because I don't want to ruin anything. Everything is, not everything, is that a lot is revealed in the last part of the episode, but part of the fun is absolutely getting to the end of that first episode, and then everything just sort of goes out the window in the last few seconds. So it's definitely the kind of thing, if you haven't read the books, you will probably hopefully be surprised and be entertained by this. If you've read the books, hopefully this lives up to your expectations. If there are books, I'm assuming there are books. It's the kind of thing that I feel somebody would have said, oh yeah, you know what, let's make a TV show out of this book series for children. And yeah, oh yeah, blah blah blah, be the first of okay, yeah, I don't know, it doesn't matter. Even if it isn't, you know what, it's a great show so far. I really like it, so I'm gonna say definitely. I don't usually use such a solid, you need to watch this, but I highly recommend it, so watch it. Let's pick tomorrow's episode.
493.
Jeez, didn't have to go far. Oh. Wow. Well, speaking of mutants, how about some new ones? The New Mutants is what we're going to be watching next. Yes, it's an X-Men spin-off film that came in the latter days of the 20th Century Fox's... It existed for many years before 20th Century Fox got bought up by Disney, and they just eventually just dumped it out there. And I did see it in theaters, so I was one of the few. But I'm going to watch it again for the first time in a while. The New Mutants is what we're watching next on the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge. I'll see you back here tomorrow with that. Bye.